You wake up before the sun. The cold bites at your skin, even under the blanket of worn fur. Your back hurts from the hard ground. You slept beside the fire, but the fire is dead now. There's no breakfast waiting for you, just the same flatbread from yesterday. And maybe, if you're lucky, a little dried fish. You don't complain. This is just how life is. Your name doesn't matter much here. No one in the village talks about you. You're just the boy with the broken boots, the third son of a poor man. No land, no cattle, just a few nets, and a father who stopped smiling a long time ago. Your mother works harder than anyone you know. She patches the same torn clothes every week. She boils the same old soup that tastes more like water than anything else. You see the way her hands shake now? She doesn't talk much either. Your younger sister still smiles. Somehow. She plays with carved wooden toys your uncle gave her years ago. Sometimes she asks if she'll ever have a dress that's not patched. You never know what to say. You go outside. The wind hits your face, sharp and cold. The sky is still dark. The village is quiet. The sea, just a short walk away, is louder than everything else. This is your home, a small Viking village on the edge of nowhere. There are maybe 20 families here. Most of them are like you, barely getting by. You know what it feels like to be hungry, to wear the same clothes until they fall apart, to feel tired all the time, not because you worked hard, but because you never stop worrying. You've never touched gold. You've never been on a raid. You've never even left the village, but you dream of it. You dream of standing on a longship, of seeing new lands, of eating hot meals, of coming home with something more than stories. But dreams don't feed you, and dreaming too much can get you in trouble. Your father once said that the world doesn't care about boys like you. You believed him. Still, today feels different. You don't know why, but there's something in the air, something in the way the elders whisper, in the way the warriors sharpen their blades. A ship is being prepared. You hear the oars being carved, the leather being soaked, the rope being tied. You ask your older brother what's happening. He says the Jarl is planning a raid, a small one, a test maybe. They need strong arms and quiet feet. You look down at your hands, thin, calloused, but strong. You're not a warrior, not yet, but you want to be. Not for glory, not for blood, but because you're tired of this life. Tired of watching your mother go to sleep hungry. Tired of hearing your father cry when he thinks no one's listening. Tired of being invisible. You want something more, even if it's just for a moment. That night, you sit by the fire. The flames flicker low. Your sister is asleep beside you, holding that little carved horse. Your mother is sewing again, and your father is staring into the flames. You speak quietly. You tell him you want to join the raid. He doesn't answer at first. He just stares at the fire. Then he says, "If you leave, you might not come back." You nod. You already knew that. Then he looks at you, really looks. And for the first time in a long while, you see something in his eyes. Not anger, not shame, just hope. The smallest spark of it. Then go, he says. But don't forget where you come from. The sun rises slow over the hills. Its light spills across the frozen grass. Golden, but cold. You're already awake. You didn't sleep much. Not because of nerves. Just because your thoughts wouldn't let you. Your pack is light. A water skin, a crust of bread, and your father's old knife. It's not much, but it's what you have. You slip outside quietly. The door creaks, but no one stirs. Your mother must have known you'd leave early. She didn't say goodbye last night, but she left your cloak folded near the fire. You wrap it around yourself. It still smells like home. The village is quiet. Smoke rises from a few chimneys. Dogs bark in the distance. You pass old men mending nets, women feeding chickens, and boys your age pretending not to watch you. You don't wave. You just keep walking. Down the path, past the blacksmith's hut, past the well where you fetched water since you were 5. You reach the edge of the beach. The long ship is there, still and waiting, its wood soaked from the night, its dragon head looking out to sea. There are others here too, older boys, men, a few you've only seen from afar. No one speaks much, just nods, just quiet movements. You sit on a rock and wait. You watch the waves roll in. You listen to the crows overhead. You breathe slowly, trying to stay calm. The Jarl arrives just before midday. He's not tall, not loud, but the way people move when he walks, you can feel the weight of his presence. He looks at you for a moment. His eyes scan your clothes, your hands, your face. You can row? He asks. You nod. Yes. He doesn't say more. He turns and starts giving orders. Load the grain. Check the sail. Bring the spears. Tie the rope. The others get to work. So do you. You help carry the supplies. You tie what needs tying. You move as if you've done this 100 times. Even though your hands are shaking a little. No one laughs. No one mocks you. They're too focused. Too used to this. The air changes by afternoon. The tide is rising. The wind is steady. And then someone calls out, "It's time." You climb aboard the longship. The wood feels solid under your boots. The oars are cold. The bench is hard. You take your place, second row from the front. No one says much. They just grip their oars. You do the same. The Jarl steps aboard last. He stands near the front, beside the mast. "Row," he says. So you row. The oars dip into the sea, rise, dip again. The rhythm builds quickly. Water splashes against the hull. Wind fills the sail. You're moving now. Away from shore, away from home. The village grows smaller behind you. The trees, the houses, the smoke. It all begins to fade into the mist. You don't look back. You focus on the sea ahead. Hours pass. The sky darkens. The waves grow taller. You feel salt on your lips. You feel your muscles ache. But you keep rowing. When the Jarl says rest, you stop. You drink a little water. You chew a piece of dried fish. You look around. The sea stretches in every direction, endless and gray. You've never felt so small, and yet never so awake. At nightfall, you see the stars. The same stars you used to see from your rooftop, but now they feel closer, like they're watching. A man beside you lights a small lantern. He hums something, an old song. You don't know the words, but the melody is soft and sad. You lie back against the side of the ship. The wood is cold, but the wind is quiet now. You close your eyes for a moment. You think of your sister. You wonder if she noticed you were gone. You think of your mother, if she stayed up after you left. You think of your father, and that strange look in his eyes last night. You don't know what tomorrow brings, but for the first time in your life, you feel like something is changing. Not because the ship is moving, not because the sea is wide, but because you chose this. You're no longer waiting for life to happen to you. You're in it now, rowing into the unknown. The ocean groans beneath the boat. Waves slap the wooden sides. The wind bites harder out here. You've never felt this kind of cold before. Your hands are blistered from rowing, but you don't complain. No one does, not even the old man with the broken tooth. Everyone's quiet, except the sea. You sit near the edge, wrapped in a thick wool cloak. It's not enough. Nothing is. You stare at the gray water. It looks endless, like a mirror that reflects nothing. Some men sing softly, old sailing songs, not cheerful ones, but the kind meant to keep fear away. You don't join them. You listen. The boat creaks like it's alive. It groans under the weight of men, weapons, supplies. You count the days by the sky, but it's always cloudy. Time feels slow, heavy. The food is dry. Fish, salted meat. You miss warm bread, your mother's stew. You think about her often, how she held your face the day you left, told you to come back stronger. You didn't answer then. You just nodded. Now her face floats in your memory, clearer than anything else. You close your eyes. The boat rocks. The waves speak, not in words, but in sounds deep in your bones. At night, you sleep in turns, wrapped in damp cloth, shoulder to shoulder with other men. Some snore, some mutter in dreams. You don't sleep much. You stare at the stars when the clouds clear. They feel so far away. You wonder if the gods watch from up there, or if they've long forgotten you. A storm comes on the third night. No warning, just a sudden roar. Waves climb high. The boat tilts. Men shout. Water crashes over the side. You hold onto the wood, knuckles white, mouth dry. You don't pray. You just breathe. The ocean doesn't care about prayers. The next morning, you're soaked, cold deep in your bones. 2 men are gone, swept away. No one speaks about them. There's nothing to say. You help bail water, repair the sails, squeeze the sea from your clothes. You don't cry. No one does. The air changes after the storm, colder, still. You spot birds. Land must be near. The men start to whisper about where they're going, about gold, about fire, about making a name. You stay quiet. You're not here for glory. You're not sure why you're here at all. At sunset, you see it. Land. Dark. Jagged. Unfamiliar. Your chest tightens. You grip the side of the boat. This isn't home. This is where men become monsters. Or bones. You reach the shore in silence, feet sinking into wet sand. It smells like rot and salt. The others move quickly. Unload supplies. Sharpen blades. Tie down the boat. You just stand there, looking at the trees, the hills, the black sky. It's quiet. Too quiet. You realize something strange. You miss the sea. You sleep near the fire that night, wrapped in your damp cloak. The stars hide again. A man beside you talks in his sleep. Another sharpens a blade until it sings. You stare at the flames, not blinking. Tomorrow, they say, you'll move inland, to scout, to raid, to see what this land holds. You're not sure what you'll find, but you know one thing. There's no turning back now. The morning is quiet. The fire has turned to soft, glowing ash. The cold air touches your skin. You sit up slowly, still feeling the tiredness in your bones. Last night, you slept by the shore. You were safe, but not at peace. The sea behind you is calm now, but your heart still carries the storm. You look around. The others are waking too. No one speaks. Everyone knows what must be done. You've arrived in a new land, but it's not home yet. It's wild, unknown. You need to see what's out there. Your leader stands. He points toward the trees. No words, just a look. It's time to explore. You walk carefully. The forest stands tall and quiet. The trees are thick. The ground is soft with leaves and moss. You stay close together. Every sound feels louder here. The crack of a twig, the breath of the wind, even your own footsteps. There's no sign of people, no animals either. Just the feeling that this place has been still for a long time. You pass a small stream. The water is clear and cold. You kneel and drink. It tastes clean, like the start of something. Further in, you find something strange. Old stones, half buried, covered in green. A small structure once stood here. Now, only its bones remain. A broken wall, a few rotting logs. Nature has taken it back. You step closer. Inside, there's silence. Only the sound of your breath. An old pot, ashes in the corner. A wooden spoon left behind. Someone lived here long ago. It feels sad, but also like a message that people can live here, that life is possible. You move on. The trees open into a wide, grassy field. Sunlight warms your face. The grass sways gently in the breeze. In the middle of the field is a large tree. You rest beneath it. It feels peaceful. There are marks carved into the bark. Strange shapes. You can't read them, but they feel important. Your leader runs his fingers over the symbols. He says nothing, but something changes in his face. He looks more serious now. He stands, and you follow, back into the trees. You climb a small hill. The path is steep. Your legs ache, but you keep going. At the top, you stop. Your breath catches in your throat. From here, you can see far. Endless forest. A river that winds like a silver snake. Open sky. Quiet hills. It's beautiful, but also wild. Unclaimed. Untouched. Your leader stands next to you. He says, "This is where we begin again." No one replies. But inside, something shifts. This land could be home. Not yet, but someday. You walk back toward the shore. The sun is higher now. Birds sing in the trees. The forest feels less cold. When you reach the beach, you start to build. Simple shelters, small fires, a place to rest. You collect wood. You gather stones. Someone finds berries. Another starts to fish. It's not much, but it's a start. That night, you sit by the fire again. The flames crackle. The sky is full of stars. You think about the place you left, the burning village, the fear, the loss. But here, on this quiet shore, there's something else. A feeling. Not joy, not yet, but hope. You lie down close to the fire. The ground is still hard, but the air feels softer. You close your eyes. The fire warms your back, and for the first time in many days, you sleep. The fire has gone quiet. The sky turns a soft gray, and the land is still. You open your eyes. Your back is sore from the ground, but you don't complain. The others begin to rise. One by one, no words, only movement. Ashes crackle in the pit. A gentle smoke rises. The wind carries the smell into the trees. You sit by the warm stones. Rub your eyes. Stretch your arms. And look at the forest ahead. It's time. The land feels different this morning. Less like danger. More like mystery. Your leader stands. Points toward the tree line. "We walk," he says. No one asks why. No one needs to. You pick up your blade, tighten your cloak, and step away from the fire. You follow behind the others. The grass is wet beneath your feet. Birds move in the branches above. It doesn't take long before the trees surround you. Tall, still, listening. You walk between them like strangers. Quiet, careful. Each step is soft. Each breath is calm. The forest watches, but says nothing. Someone behind you mutters, "Feels like ghosts live here." No one laughs. No one answers. You keep walking. The land begins to rise. You step over roots, pass a stream, climb a hill of soft moss. At the top, you stop. Below you is a wide open field, brown, untouched. With patches of green and yellow flowers, the group spreads out slowly. Each man takes his own path, looking, listening. You crouch and touch the dirt. It's dry on the surface, but rich beneath. Good for planting, good for something. Further ahead, you find a stream, clear water, running fast over smooth stone. You kneel and drink. Cold, fresh, no taste of salt. You fill your pouch and smile. You've found something good. Another man calls out. He's found deer tracks, fresh ones. Food walks here. It lives here. This place, it might give you a future. After hours of walking, you stop. Not from fear, but from peace. The group gathers under an old tree. Its roots twist above the ground. Its bark is silver gray. You sit in silence, listening to the wind move through the leaves. No one talks. No one moves fast. Time feels slower now, like the land wants you to breathe. You close your eyes, and for a moment, you feel safe. When you open them again, your leader speaks. We could stay here, build here. No one disagrees. Some men nod, others simply stare. It's not home yet, but it could be. A place where you're not hunted, where you're not cold every night, where you don't run. You rise and walk toward the edge of the trees. You can see the sea in the distance, the boat, small on the shore. Behind you, the land stretches wide, untouched, waiting. On the way back, you collect what you can. Twigs, bark, stones that could be tools. You move slower now, not because you're tired, but because there's no rush. You know where you are. You know what you've found. You reach the shore again by sunset. The sky burns orange, and the wind carries the smell of salt and pine. The fire has been rebuilt. The others are waiting. Fish are cooking over the flames. Someone laughs softly. The first real laugh since you left the old world. You sit by the fire, and you smile. That night, the stars are clearer. The sky seems closer. You lie back on the grass, and for the first time, you don't dream of home. You dream of this place, this land, this forest, this sky. You dream of building something here, something better. And when sleep finally takes you, it's gentle, because for the first time, you're not just surviving, you're starting to live. The morning was cold. You woke up with your back sore from the hard ground. The fire was just ash now. Smoke rose in a thin line, drifting into the air. Everyone was still quiet. Some were still sleeping. Others stared at the trees ahead. No one rushed. No one spoke loud. You stood up, rubbing your arms. The cold stuck to your skin like wet cloth. A few birds called from far away. The sea was behind you now, just the sound of wind in the grass. The Jarl raised his hand. It was time to move. Into the woods. You followed the others through the trees. Leaves crunched under your boots. Branches snapped as you pushed forward. The woods were thick, but not wild. You saw stumps, signs of people. The ground was uneven, wet. You stepped over roots, over rocks. The sun broke through in spots, lighting patches of moss. A rabbit darted away from the group. No one chased it. No one spoke. Everyone listened. For footsteps, for voices, for anything strange. But there was only the forest, and the sound of your breath, the signs of life. Then you saw it. A fence, worn down, broken in places. A few wooden stakes leaning to one side. Not far from it, a path. Just dirt, packed down by feet or cartwheels. The Jarl stopped the group. He knelt and touched the earth. Still soft. Someone had passed here. Maybe today. Maybe just hours ago. Everyone spread out. Quiet steps. Careful eyes. You followed the path. The trees began to thin. The wind grew softer. The first house. You saw smoke first, then the roof. A small house sat by itself. near a hill. Stone walls. Straw roof. Smoke coming from a hole in the top. No guards. No fence. No signs of defense. Just a quiet home. The Jarl raised his hand. A few warriors stayed back. You and 2 others stepped forward. You walked slowly. No shouting. No rushing. At the door, you knocked once. No answer. You knocked again. Still nothing. The Jarl nodded. 1 man opened the door. Empty. The house was warm inside. A fire still burned in the center. Bread on the table. A small pot of water near the flame. But no people. No voices. No footsteps. They had left. Maybe minutes ago. Maybe watching from the trees. The Jarl searched the shelves. A few bowls. Some cloth. 1 wooden cup. Everything plain. Everything poor. You stepped outside. The wind blew gently through the grass. Still nothing. Waiting. You sat outside the house. The others watched the woods. No one said much. The Jarl stayed still, listening. You did too. Time passed slow. The sun moved just a little. The warmth felt strange after the cold night. Someone yawned. Another drank water from a pouch. A few chewed on dried meat. But still, no people. Just the wind, the grass, the sound of the fire inside the house. A new plan. Later, the Jarl stood up. He pointed toward the hill. There might be more up there. Maybe more homes. Maybe a village. You followed the group up the path. Step by step. No rush. No noise. The grass grew taller here. The trees thinned out. The wind touched your face like breath. You saw another house. Then another. A small village. Still quiet. The village. You walked in slow. The houses were close together. Small gardens. Stone fences. 1 cart left on its side. No people. No dogs barking. No voices. Just the soft sound of your own boots. It felt strange. Were they hiding? Were they watching? You didn't know. The others didn't either. You kept moving. 1 house had a child's doll in the dirt. Another had an axe, stuck in a tree stump. Someone had lived here, not long ago. The bell. Then you heard it. Faint. A single ring. A bell. Far off, but clear. The Jarl froze. So did everyone else. It came again. This time longer. A warning bell. You looked at the others. Eyes wide, hands on weapons. Someone knew you were here. The sound echoed across the hills, soft at first, then louder, a single bell ringing over and over. The village was still, but the air had changed. You looked at the Jarl. He didn't speak. His eyes stayed fixed on the sound. The others were still too, some with hands on their axes, some gripping their shields. No one moved forward. No one moved back. The bell rang again, this time faster. Eyes in the trees. You looked at the homes. Empty windows. Open doors. It felt like you were being watched. Behind every wall. Behind every tree eyes. You couldn't see. You stepped closer to the Jarl. He nodded once, then pointed toward the path behind the village. The group moved slowly. No shouting. No noise. Just boots on dirt. Leather scraping. Steel clinking low. The wind carried the bell sound with it. Sharp metallic. Unsettling. The abandoned farm. Beyond the village. There was a field. Fences. Torn. Crops. Half-grown. A scarecrow leaned sideways in the wind. You walked past an old barn. Its doors half open. Inside were tools. A wagon and a fresh basket of apples. On the ground. Still warm from the sun. Someone had been here just recently. But now gone. The bell stops. Then the bell stopped. All at once. No echo. No sound. Just silence. No wind. No birds. No footsteps. Only the breath in your own chest. You stopped walking. The Jarl raised his fist. Everyone froze. It felt like the trees were listening. Like the land was waiting. Smoke in the distance. One of the scouts climbed a small ridge. He stayed there for a long time. then came back down. Quietly, he pointed to the east over the hills, where smoke was rising, not from fire, but from cooking, from homes. That's where they went. The real village. This was just the edge. The bell had warned them. Now they were ready. What now? You waited for the Jarl to speak, but he stayed still, thinking, this wasn't the raid you expected. No easy gold, no careless monks, no open doors, just eyes watching from the trees, and smoke waiting on the hill. You tightened your grip on your axe. The Jarl looked around, then pointed to a fallen log. The group sat down quietly. You would wait, you would watch, you would not rush into what you could not see. The moments between, the minutes passed slow. Someone sharpened a blade. Another checked their bowstring. You leaned back against a tree, looking at the sky. It was pale clouds drifting across like sails. A raven circled once above the trees, then vanished behind the ridge. No one laughed. No one spoke. There was tension in the air, but not fear, just caution. Footprints. Later, one of the younger men called softly. He had found prints in the mud, small ones, children running toward the hills. Beside them, larger prints, heavy steps, not fleeing, but leading. Someone had guided them away. Someone had planned. This was not panic. It was order. That was worse. Decision. The Jarl stood again. He pointed to two men, told them to stay back and guard the rear. He nodded to the rest of you. It was time to move again, but not with noise, not with rage, with quiet. With care you would go around the hill, not through it. You would find the next village and learn who these people were. The climb. The ridge was steep. Your legs burned with every step, but you stayed silent, even as the ground grew soft, even as thorns pulled at your legs. The wind picked up. The trees grew thin. Then you saw it, a large village, fenced, organized smoke curling from chimneys, men at the gate, armed waiting. They had seen you, but they didn't run. They didn't hide. They were ready. You stayed low behind the ridge, your eyes fixed on the village below. It was quiet. No alarm, no running, just stillness. Men stood at the wooden gates, 3 of them with spears and round shields. They weren't moving. They weren't speaking, just waiting. Different than you thought. This was no small farm, no scattered homes. It was built with purpose. A wide fence surrounded the houses, tall enough to slow a charge, thick enough to block arrows. Behind it, you saw homes made of stone. Not just wood and straw, chimneys puffing steady smoke, and people walking inside. Not fleeing, not scared, just watching. The Jarl watches too. Your Jarl crouched beside you, his brow low, his hands calm. He didn't speak. He looked at the gates, the walls, the fields beyond the fence. Then he turned to you, and he waited too. A whisper in the wind. A breeze passed through the trees, soft, cool, but it carried something. A sound, not a voice, not a word. A whistle. One of the guards at the gate raised a hand. Another vanished inside. You didn't move. Your brothers stayed behind the trees, still and silent, like hunters, like ghosts, not a trap. A test. This wasn't what you were used to. In the raids before, doors opened with screams. Men begged. Women ran. But now they were calm. They were ready. They were watching. And it wasn't fear. It was knowledge. They knew what you were. They knew why you came. But they stayed. What do? You looked at your Jarl again. He finally spoke. Low, calm. Not today. You didn't understand at first. Then he stood and walked back from the ridge. He didn't want to fight them. Not like this. Not yet. They were too ready, too quiet, too sure of themselves. There was more to learn here. Falling back, one by one. You backed away from the ridge. No noise, no rush, just slow steps into the forest. shadow swallowing you whole. The village stayed behind, still quiet, still standing. You didn't lose, but you didn't fight, and that felt worse somehow. The forest again, back in the woods. Your boots pressed soft into damp leaves, the air thicker, now colder. No one spoke. Some men looked confused. Others looked relieved, but no one argued. The Jarl had made his choice, and you followed it. For now, the new plan. Around the fire that night, the mood was different. No one laughed. No one bragged. There were no gold coins to count. No enemies fallen. Only thoughts. Only silence. The Jarl sat near the edge, looking into the dark trees, as if waiting for something or someone. You sat nearby, watching the fire dance. The heat warmed your face, but it didn't ease the questions in your mind. What comes next? You had seen something today. Not fear, not power, not even wealth, but discipline, order, and calm. The villagers didn't run. They didn't scream. They didn't hide. They simply stood their ground. That meant something, something you couldn't name, but felt deep in your chest. A raven's cry. Somewhere above, a raven called once, then again sharp, clear. Your Jarl looked up briefly, then closed his eyes. It was a sign, or maybe just a sound. Either way, you knew this wasn't over. Tomorrow, or the day after, you would return, but not as raiders, not just as warriors. This would be different. You would need to understand this land, its people, its silence. And so you wait. The fire cracked. The stars turned overhead. And one by one the warriors slept. But not you. You sat awake, eyes open, mind restless, because something had changed. And the story wasn't finished yet, not even close. The morning mist rose slow from the forest floor, soft and pale, wrapping the trees like breath. You sat up beside the dying fire, ash curling upward, faint orange embers, blinking like tired eyes. Most of the others still slept. Only the Jarl was awake, and someone else. He wasn't one of you. The man stood at the edge of the trees, cloaked in a dull brown robe, hands empty, eyes watching. He didn't flinch when your Jarl rose, didn't step back when men stirred and reached for axes. He just stood, still as the bark behind him. He was not one of you, but he wasn't afraid. The Jarl walked toward him, no weapon drawn, no words shouted, just steps, measured, calm. You followed. Close behind, the man looked old, but not weak. He wore no armor, only leather shoes and a belt, with a pouch that clinked. When he moved, he spoke first. "I saw your fire last night," he said, voice dry but steady. "You watched the village." The Jarl didn't respond, just listened. "We've seen your kind before," the man added, "but never like this. You didn't attack." The Jarl finally spoke. "Not yet," he said. His voice wasn't a threat. It was truth. The man didn't blink. He nodded slowly, as if he already knew. Then he reached into his pouch. You and 3 others tensed, but he only pulled out a roll of cloth, inside bread, dried meat, and berries. He set them on a flat rock between you, not an offer of peace. He didn't say it was a gift. He didn't ask for mercy. He only said, "Eat. The forest is quiet now, but it won't stay that way." Then he turned and walked back into the trees, not toward the village, not toward the path, just into the mist, gone. Nobody spoke not for a long time. The Jarl looked at the food, then at you. He didn't touch it. Instead, he said, "We move by midday," and walked back to camp. Why didn't you kill him? You asked yourself that. All morning you could have, any of you could have, but no one did. There was no fear in him, and no threat, just knowledge and silence, and that somehow felt heavier than a sword. You left before the sun, peaked. Camp was cleared, boots laced, shields slung. No songs, no shouting, just quiet. You followed the stream east, moving between trees, over damp moss, past broken branches. No trails, no paths, only the land. A new place. By late day, you reached another clearing. No villages, no fences, just stone ruins, half buried in dirt, crumbling with time. Vines wrapped around broken pillars, roots splitting old walls. Place long forgotten. The Jarl stopped here, raised one hand. "We rest," he said. Nightfall again. A fire lit once more. Smaller this time. The warriors sat close, their backs straight, their voices low. This wasn't like before. No one laughed about raids. No one argued over loot. They just spoke of the old man and what he meant. You spoke too. You said he wasn't a priest and not a warrior, but something in between. You said he didn't come to scare you or feed you, but to show you something, that this land had its own way, its own rhythm, and maybe you were starting to feel it. The Jarl listened. He didn't interrupt. He didn't nod, just listened, like the man had, like he'd heard something beneath your words, something worth remembering. And that night, he slept far from the fire alone, facing the woods, a feeling you couldn't name. As the flames burned low, you lay on the ground, eyes to the sky. The stars didn't seem so distant anymore. The wind didn't bite so hard, and the silence didn't feel empty. It felt full of thought, of weight, of something waiting. And still, you were a Viking, not a farmer, not a monk. You still carried your axe, still had blood on your hands from days before. But now something was different. You hadn't touched your blade in 2 days, and for the first time that didn't bother you. It felt right, like the land had asked you to wait, and you were listening. The fire had burned to ashes, soft gray dust, still warm beneath your palm. You stood slowly, muscles stiff, eyes half closed. Morning light broke through the trees in thin rays, pale gold, touching the ground like quiet fingers. You didn't wake the others, not yet. You stepped past them, past shields, resting on roots, past the Jarl, still silent beneath his cloak. You followed the wind. The forest opened. It didn't lead you. It welcomed you, like it had been waiting, since before you arrived, since before your ship ever left the sea. The trees were tall here, older, their trunks wide and knotted, bark like cracked stone. Birds called faintly above, but you didn't see them, only mist, and morning light, and something else. Peace. You walked alone, boots brushing against wet leaves, hands loose at your sides, no blade drawn. For once, you weren't looking for danger. You were listening. The silence wasn't empty. It was full. Every step seemed to echo, not loud, but deep, like the land was remembering you. A circle of stones. You came to it by chance, or maybe not. 8 stones, tall, flat, broken, each covered in moss. They stood in a rough circle, half fallen, roots curling around their bases. In the center, nothing but soil and leaves, and something buried deep below. You stepped inside. The air changed. He was already there. You didn't see him at first, but he was there. The man from before, the stranger, sitting against the largest stone, eyes closed, as if asleep, as if part of the forest itself. This time, he opened his eyes slowly and smiled. "You came," he said. You said nothing, only nodded. He spoke like the wind, quiet, low, unhurried. "This land," he said, "doesn't belong to kings or warriors. It belongs to time and memory." He looked at the stones, placed a hand gently on the moss. "These were not built by monks, not even by men like you. They were here long before. You sat down without speaking, without asking. It felt right, like sitting beside a fire, or beside an old friend." He looked at you again. but didn't question. He only said, "Most of your kind come to take. But you've started to listen." You didn't argue, because he was right. Something in you had changed. It wasn't weakness. It wasn't fear. It was understanding. The land had spoken in its own way, and you had heard it. In the mist. In the silence. In the way your blade had stayed at your side. He pointed to the earth. "Below this stone lies no gold," he said. "No sword. No crown. Only a name." You looked at him, confused. "A name?" He nodded. "One that was buried to be remembered." You didn't understand, but you didn't need to. Not yet. Some truths take time. He rose, slowly, with the stiffness of age, but no pain. He walked to the edge of the circle, then turned back. "I'll see you again," he said, not as a promise, just as fact. Then he disappeared into the trees. No sound, no trail, like mist fading in sunlight. You sat a while longer. The forest was still, the air warm. You ran your hand across the stone, felt the grooves, old runes, nearly faded. You didn't try to read them. You just sat, eyes closed, breathing slowly. And for a moment, you felt nothing. No hunger, no anger, no fire in your blood. Only quiet, only peace. When you returned, the Jarl was awake. So were the others. They didn't ask where you had gone. They didn't need to. You carried something in your eyes. Something calm. Something steady. The Jarl simply nodded. And then, without a word, the camp began to move. You marched west, deeper into the forest. Toward no village, no gold, no fight. Just land. And the unknown. And whatever was waiting there. You were still a Viking, still part of the crew, still ready to fight if needed. But inside, a new path had opened, and it had nothing to do with war. The trees stood tall and quiet. You walked slowly. Every step was careful. The ground was soft, with fallen leaves. You heard nothing but your breath, and the sound of boots pressing into dirt. The others followed behind. But no one spoke, not even the Jarl. Something had changed. The land felt heavier here, older, like it remembered things men had forgotten. A river appeared. You stopped. A river blocked the path. Its water moved fast and dark. The banks were steep, the current strong. You looked across, and then down at your feet. There was no bridge, no raft, just water, cold, unforgiving. The Jarl stepped beside you. He stared at the river, then at you. "Many have drowned in rivers like this," he said, "but we are not like them." Crossing the river, you stepped in first. The water bit at your legs. It pulled at your clothes. The current was strong, but you held firm. One step, then another. You didn't look back. When you reached the other side, you turned. One by one, the others followed. No one fell. No one was lost. The Jarl was last. When he stepped onto the shore, he smiled faintly. "We're not done yet," he said. The forest changed. The trees were closer now, the light dimmer. Even the wind felt strange. You walked slower, eyes open, hand near your weapon. The silence here wasn't empty. It was full of waiting. You felt it in your chest. Not fear, but something close. Someone watched you. You didn't hear them, but you felt them. Eyes in the woods, hidden, still. You stopped. So did the Jarl. "There's something here," he whispered. You nodded. You already knew. A man stepped out. From behind the trees, a figure appeared, tall, wrapped in a dark cloak. He said nothing at first, just stared. His face was old, worn by time, ice sharp, but calm. "You've come far," he said, "but not far enough." His voice was soft, but it carried weight. The Jarl moved closer, but didn't speak. The old man spoke again. You're chasing something, he said. A reason to fight, a reason to matter. You didn't answer. You won't find it in steel, he continued, or in fire, not even in blood. You looked at the Jarl. He stayed quiet. The man stepped forward. This land, it doesn't care for names, or war, or pride. He stared at you, as if searching for something inside you. You want meaning? He raised his hand, pointed to the forest, then walked deeper. He turned away. Without another word, he walked back into the woods. No sound, no goodbye, just vanished into the trees. You stood there for a moment, then turned to the Jarl. He nodded once, and together, you walked forward. The forest. Watched it felt different now. The trees closer, the ground softer, but it was quiet, still, like the land itself was breathing, waiting. You didn't speak. No one did. Every sound echoed. Every step mattered. And though the path ahead was unclear, you knew this. You couldn't turn back. Not now. Not ever. You kept walking. The forest stayed quiet. No birds, no wind, just the sound of your boots pressing into soft dirt. The Jarl stayed close. So did the others. But none of you spoke. Not since the old man vanished. He hadn't warned you. He hadn't threatened you. He just watched and left. And still, you couldn't stop thinking about his words. Deeper into the woods, the trees grew taller, their trunks wider, their roots thick, twisted, and rising from the ground. You had to climb over some, slide beneath others. The path wasn't made for men. It was wild, untouched. You didn't know where it led, but you followed it anyway, because the air was different here, and so was the silence. It wasn't empty. It was full of something old. Watching. The carvings on the trees. You saw the first one after an hour. A mark, cut deep into bark. It wasn't from an axe. It wasn't for hunting. It was a rune, sharp, angled, deliberate. Then you saw another, and another. Each tree marked, each symbol different, but all carved by the same hand. The Jarl stepped close to one. He ran his fingers across the grooves. These are warnings, he said. Or memories. You asked what they meant. He didn't answer. The fog arrives. It came without sound, without warning. A slow gray mist rolled between the trees, thin at first, then thick. You couldn't see 10 paces ahead. The forest was gone now. Only fog remained. You moved slower, hands out, eyes wide. The others stayed close. You could hear their breaths, feel their fear. The fog touched your skin. It was cold, too cold. Not like morning fog, not like mist near the sea. This felt wrong. A sound in the distance. You stopped. Everyone did. There it was again. A voice, far away, whispering. You couldn't make out the words, but they were calling. Software steady. The Jarl looked around. He couldn't find the source. Then someone shouted. One of your men. He pointed into the fog. A figure stood there, small, still. You took a step forward. It disappeared. Splitting paths. The path ahead forked, left or right, but both were hidden in fog. No one wanted to choose, so you did. You picked left. The others followed. The fog grew thinner, then thicker. It moved like it was alive. It curled around your legs, wrapped around your arms, and still, you walked. You had no choice now. The echo of the past. You started hearing things. Not voices, not footsteps, memories. You heard your mother's voice, software calling your name. You heard the sea, the crack of fire, the scream of battle. But none of it was real. It couldn't be. The others heard things too. One man fell to his knees, hands over his ears. They're in my head, he whispered. Make them stop. You helped him up. He was shaking, but you didn't stop walking. The fog begins to fade. Slowly, the fog began to lift. You saw trees again. Branches, roots, rocks. You saw the sky. Pale gray light slipping through the canopy. The cold faded. The silence remained. You took a deep breath. It was easier to breathe now. The Jarl looked at you. You let us through, he said. You didn't feel victorious. You felt changed, like something had watched you in the fog and judged you and let you pass. But not all would be so lucky. A clearing ahead. You walked a little further, and the trees parted. A clearing opened, wide, still. At the center stood stones, tall and weathered, arranged in a circle, carved with more runes, ancient, older than the village, older than your people. The Jarl raised his hand. Everyone stopped. This, he whispered, was not made by us. You stepped forward. You didn't wait. You stepped into the circle. The ground was solid, dry, no fog here. You knelt beside one of the stones, ran your fingers across the markings. The air was heavy, but it wasn't dark. It felt full, like this place remembered everything, every soul, every step, every name whispered in the wind. You looked up. The others stood outside the circle, watching, waiting, and you knew tomorrow would not be like today. Nothing would be the same again. You press your hand against the cold surface. The stone is ancient, older than your people, older than the gods you pray to. It doesn't speak, but it doesn't need to. The silence says everything. The Jarl stands behind you. His voice is quiet. This land remembers. You don't know what that means, but you feel it in your bones, in the air. It's like the land is watching. The stillness. No birds, no wind, no sound. Just the circle of stones and the weight of time. The men don't speak. Some kneel. Some hold amulets in their fists. Others stand frozen. You watch them, but your eyes keep returning to the stones. Cracked, weathered, marked by hands long gone. What were they trying to say? Were they warning you or welcoming you? You don't know, but you feel something shift. The raven returns. You hear it before you see it. Wings cutting through the still air. A raven circling overhead. It lands on one of the stones. Its head tilts, watching you. Odin's eyes. That's what they say. When a raven watches, so does the god. You don't look away. Neither does it. The Jarl finally speaks again. This place is older than fear. You nod, because that's all you can do. The forest waits you leave the stone circle behind. The Jarl leads. You follow. The others come quietly. No one jokes. No one laughs. The silence has followed you. The trees thicken. The shadows grow deeper. But the path is clear. Worn. Used. Someone, long ago, walked this trail. Maybe many. Maybe just one. You step where they stepped, and the ground doesn't fight you. It allows you through. A broken statue. In a small clearing, you see her, half buried, cracked, but still standing. A woman, carved from stone, face worn by rain, one hand raised, now broken. No name, no plaque, just presence. The Jarl stares at her for a long time. She was before Thor, before Odin. The others stay back. You step closer. The moss has grown over her eyes, but she still sees. The river's song. The forest opens. A river winds through the trees. Slow, clear. You kneel, cup the water in your hands. Drink. It's cold. So cold it burns your teeth. But it's clean. Real. The Jarl joins you. He doesn't drink. He just stares at the water. This river has seen empires fall. He says. You look downstream. The water keeps moving. Like time. Like memory. Campfire. Silence. You stop for the night, not far from the river. A small fire flickers. No tents, no walls, just logs and stones. The forest watches. The sky fades to black. You sit beside the flame, arms wrapped around your knees. Your axe rests by your side. Someone hums an old tune. Software, sad. You don't know the words, but you feel the weight in them. You stare into the fire. You don't blink. Not yet. You're not tired. Not really. Just quiet. Dreams and ash. When you close your eyes, you see the stone, the statue, the raven, the river, all of it. Still there, you dream of voices that aren't yours, languages you've never heard, and hands carving marks into stone. The wind carries names you don't know, and the fire, even as it dies, seems to whisper back. When morning comes, you'll leave again, move deeper into the land. But tonight, you are still, and the land listens. The sky is still dark when you rise. The fire has long since faded. Ash and cold are all that remain. Your body aches, but it's not from the sleep. It's from the journey, the weight of the land. The others stir. They stretch their limbs. Their faces are hard, but you see it, the quiet fear beneath their eyes. Fear of the unknown, fear of what lies ahead, but you push it down. You've always known that fear and courage walk together. The path ahead. The Jarl moves first. His steps are steady. He knows where he's going, where the land calls him. You follow. The others follow you. You move through the forest in silence. The trees part before you. The land begins to open up. The air grows thicker. The smells change. Not just wet earth now, but something sharper. A distant scent. You can't place it, but you feel it. It's in the ground beneath your boots. The clearing. You reach a clearing. A wide space, untouched. In the center there's a stone altar. It's ancient. The runes carved into it have long since faded. But there's something about it. Something powerful. You don't need to ask. You know. This is where you were meant to be. The Jarl stands before the altar. He raises his hands. The others wait, looking at the stone. The offering. The Jarl speaks, his voice low. A prayer. But it's not a prayer to the gods, you know. It's something older. He lowers his hands. He places his axe on the altar. The blade gleams in the weak sunlight. The others follow. One by one, they place their weapons beside it, each man offering something of themselves. You stand last. Your axe feels heavier now, but you know what you must do. You place your weapon on the altar, a sign of trust, a sign of respect, the stillness of the land. For a moment, there's only silence, the wind, the trees, the rustle of leaves. The land waits. Then the earth moves, just a little, but enough to feel it. A rumble in the ground. The trees sway. The Jarl steps back. He looks at you. His eyes are hard, but you can see it in his face. This place is watching, and you are part of it now. The calling. The air changes again. The scent grows stronger. It's not just the earth anymore. It's something deeper. You turn. The others turn with you. A figure stands at the edge of the clearing. A woman. A shadow in the trees. Her face is pale, her hair long and wild. She watches you with eyes that know more than you do. The Jarl steps forward. He doesn't speak. He doesn't need to. She steps into the light. Her skin is pale, her hands covered in tattoos, and the wind whispers. The woman's words. She speaks, but her voice is not human. It is old, ancient. Welcome, she says. The word feels like a curse. Her gaze doesn't leave you. Your journey is only just beginning, she warns. Her eyes are full of something you don't understand, something terrifying. And yet, You cannot look away. The warning. The Jarl doesn't move. He doesn't flinch. But you can see it now. A shift in his expression. He knows who she is, what she is, and yet he stands firm. Why are you here? He asks. The woman smiles. But it's not a smile of comfort. The land has called you, she says. You will take what is yours, or it will take you. Her words hang in the air like a storm, and then she is gone. The return to the fire. The clearing is still, but something has changed. You know it. The others know it. The Jarl doesn't speak. He turns, and you follow. You return to the fire. The night is darker now. The world feels heavier. You sit again by the flames. You look into the fire, but it doesn't comfort you. The journey ahead is uncertain, and the land is watching. The fire crackles softly. You sit close to it, legs crossed, arms resting on your knees. The flames give off just enough warmth to keep the chill away. Everyone else is quiet. The men around you stare into the fire, their faces lit by orange and red. No one is smiling, but no one looks afraid. Tonight is the calmest night you've known since the journey began. No howling winds, no strange sounds from the forest, just quiet, just the steady breath of a group of men who have seen too much. You lean back against your pack, eyes looking up at the sky. Stars fill it, more than you've ever seen. It looks like a river of light, stretching from one end of the world to the other. The long road. You think back, to the sea, to the cold mornings rowing, to the hunger. You remember stepping off the boat for the first time, the earth beneath your boots, the unknown stretching ahead. You didn't know what would come. You didn't know what kind of man you'd have to become, but now you do. You became what you had to. Not a hero, not a legend, but a man who survived. And that means something. The men beside you. You glance at the others. Their faces are leaner now, eyes darker, but they're still here. Some lie back in the dirt, already asleep. Some stare into the woods, still alert. One hums a song from home, just under his breath. It's soft, barely a whisper, but you know the tune. It reminds you of the fire back home, of your mother's hands, of your brother's laugh, of a simpler time before all this. It hurts to remember, but you don't look away. The Jarl's words. The Jarl rises from his seat. His beard is longer now, tangled. His voice is calm, like always. Tomorrow, he says, we move north. There's a valley I've heard of, with fresh water, and hills for the sheep. No one speaks, but they nod. You nod too. There is no argument, no complaints. You all know this life now. You move, you survive, you keep going. That's the only rule. The forest. The forest around you is dark, but tonight, it doesn't feel threatening. It feels old, still, like it's waiting for something. You used to be afraid of it. Now you know it. You've walked its paths, slept under its trees, heard its animals. It's not your enemy, just another part of this land you've learned to live with. Looking up, you lie back fully now. The dirt is cold, but solid. The stars still shine. You wonder if the gods are up there, watching, judging, waiting. Maybe they are. Maybe not. You don't care tonight. You've stopped asking them for help. You've stopped trying to understand their plans. You live your own way now, one step at a time, one breath at a time, and that's enough. No sagas. You think about home. You wonder if anyone remembers you. The village, the faces, the people who said you'd never make it. They won't write sagas about you. No skald will sing your name. No one will call you great. But you're still here, and they're not. You faced the sea. You faced the wild. You faced yourself. That's more than most men ever do. Final thoughts. You listen to the fire, to the quiet breath of the men nearby, to the distant wind moving through the trees. And for the first time in a long time, you feel calm. There's no gold in your hands, no glory, no title, but there is peace. Tomorrow, you'll walk again, toward new land, toward whatever comes next. But tonight, you rest. And for a poor Viking, a forgotten soul who crossed the sea with nothing, that is victory.